Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. The time is 11:07. I call this meeting to order. Mr. Saeed, can you please read the notice of the public meeting?
Chairwoman, this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission's 2024 annual meeting schedule. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Senator Byron M. Baer Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of the meeting was provided to the Asbury Park Press, Bergen Record, Courier Post, Star Ledger, and the Trenton Times on December 12th, 2023. The agenda and information regarding the in-person meeting and the ability to live stream was also posted on the CRC website. The meeting time and location has also been posted on the website of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission and with the Office of the Secretary of the State.
Thank you. Can you please take roll call?
Commissioner Barker,
Present.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Present.
Commissioner Nash,
Present.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Present.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Present.
We now have a quorum. The first order of business is for the Commission to go into executive session to discuss legal matters and litigation updates. These are discussions that are not shared with the public. We believe the executive session should take about 45 minutes.
Thank you. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we go into executive session.
Seconded by Commissioner Barker. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. As Mr. Saeed said, we expect the executive session to last approximately 45 minutes. We will leave the live stream running during that time for any individuals in the room. Our staff will not be able to answer questions about the items up for consideration today. And we can expect to resume the public session. We'll go at the top of the hour at 12 o'clock. Thank you. All right. I don't know what you're saying. Sorry, one moment, please. All right, so the time is 12:45 and we will resume the public portion of this meeting. Apologies for the extended executive session time. We try our best to estimate accurately how much time we'll need for executive session, but sometimes we need a little bit longer and our predictions are a little bit off. So I thank everybody for their patience. Now, I do want to know we have experienced a few technical difficulties this morning, so bear with us. If any of those technical difficulties get in the way, we may just take a pause to work things out as needed. With that said, Mr. Saeed, can you please announce the next agenda item?
Next up on the agenda is approving the minutes of both the Commission's open and executive sessions held on June 17th. The minutes have been shared with the members of the Commission prior to this meeting.
Thank you. If there are no edits or changes to the meeting minutes, I'll ask for a motion.
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we accept the June 17 minutes.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion on this motion to accept the meeting minutes? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
The next item up on the agenda is the chair's report.
All right. So I have a few updates to share with the board and the public. You can move to the first slide. So the first, I want to note that the commission still has quite a few inactive applications just sitting in our application portal. And these applications are unable to move forward and advance through our approval process because businesses are not responding to NJ-CRC staff when reaching out to fix the application deficiencies. So please, please, please ensure that your contact information is up to date and correctly listed in your application. Check your spam folders and your voicemails for contact from the CRC. And you can also contact the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, the Office of Licensing, or your assigned investigator if you have any questions about how to fix a deficiency in your application. In order to avoid issues in the future and allow business owners to submit new applications, we will need to begin removing some of these old stale applications from our application system. Next slide, please. Later on this summer, the commission will host a series of roundtables with stakeholders to discuss issues such as patient purchase limits, institutional caregivers, and ATC availability. So please be on the lookout for the details for those stakeholder meetings and roundtables as those details get firmed up. And we are now, I'm excited to share that we are providing an option for telephonic public comments. So those who are delivering comments in person today will share their testimony first. And for those delivering comments virtually, you will need to dial into Zoom by the beginning of the public comment portion of the meeting to ensure that you are ready to speak when your name is called. So please be sure to ensure clear audio quality, please follow these suggestions. Use headphones and call from a quiet place when phoning in to give your statement. Silence all other nearby devices to avoid background noises, interruptions, and feedback. Speak clearly when giving your statement. And folks in the room, if you could please silence your devices to make sure that we can all hear the folks joining by phone. And if you absolutely need to speak with somebody in the room, we ask that you keep your voice to a whisper. Next slide, please. I lastly want to give a few updates on our priorities for the year. So the ad hoc committee on the bylaws has been established. Thank you to Vice Chair Delgado and Commissioner Nash for offering to serve on that committee. And that committee is expected to provide recommendations to the board by December on any changes to the agency's bylaws. The Permitting and Licensing Committee gave a readout in June on its successful listening session on the application and licensing process. And the board is still in progress for getting caught up on its annual reports. 2 reports were adopted on the state's medical cannabis activities already. We are slated to adopt or consider 2 more reports today. So we are well on our way of getting caught up there. Next slide, please. As I noted earlier, the board will be holding stakeholder and roundtables to gather input and ideas on certain issues related to medical cannabis. So we are in progress there. And we have updated our internal process to ensure that we are assessing our regulatory and fiscal impacts ahead of certain policy changes to make sure that we have the adequate resources that we need to carry out our duties effectively. Thank you, Director Riggs and Chief of Staff Alcazar for their efforts there. And the audit committee is in the process of reviewing its submissions for a potential university study of the agency. And so the committee does anticipate presenting a recommendation to the full board on this item by the next board meeting in September. And next slide, thank you. Lastly, coming up on the end here, improvements to the annual renewal process for the adult use licenses and medical permits are currently under review by staff and the Permitting and Licensing Committee. So we do expect to see recommendations from the Permitting and Licensing Committee over the next few months. And then lastly, we have, thanks to recent additional training for our Office of Compliance and Investigations team, we're seeing more proactive review of businesses, and the team is catching violations swiftly. So I want to thank Director Urbish and the Office of Compliance and Investigation Unit for their dedication to giving meaning to our rules. So it's a lot of updates, but I felt important to make sure that the board and the public know the progress that we are making on these important issues. So that concludes my chair's report for today. Are there any questions from the board?
Madam Chair, I don't have a question, but I do have a statement.
Yes, Commissioner Del Cid Cosa.
Thank you. Thank you for that very thorough update and review. I do like to commend you and Director Riggs for speaking about the roundtables on medical cannabis issues. I think you and I have had several conversations around that topic for quite some months now. So again, thank you for putting this as priority of on the list of priorities for the next couple of months that we have remaining in the year. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the medical program, the medical patients. So I think that these are important discussions that we need to have before we put pen to paper on any amendments for the medical rules. So again, I thank you both for your work on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Del Cid Cosa, and thank you for being a staunch advocate for the patient community and making sure that we get these stakeholder roundtables on the books. If there are no other questions, we'll move forward on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is the Executive Director's Report.
Director Riggs, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairwoman, and thank you, Commissioners. The first slide we'll go over is updates on dispensary openings. We're still opening dispensaries. There's more than 150 medical and recreational dispensaries in the state of New Jersey, and there's a dispensary open in all 21 counties. There's a list here of the new recreational only dispensaries. We have 77 Main Street in Boundbrook, Bleachers in Somerset, Brotherly Bud in Mount Ephraim, City Roots in Kingston, Emerald Teak Supply in Bloomfield, Nature's Motivation in Irvington, NJ Pure in Edgewater Park, and Scarlet Reserve Room in Englishtown. So for a licensing update, these are the total licenses that have been approved as of June 26, 2024. We have about 2,600 applications that have been submitted. A little under 2,000 of them have been approved. 122 of those applications are still under review in our Office of Licensing. 309 applications are pending resubmission following a cure, and 136 applications are under review in the Office of Compliance and Investigations. Next slide shows the total recreational licenses that have been approved as of June 26, 2024. 1,444 conditionals, 350 conditional to annual conversions, 182 annuals, 78 expanded ATCs, which gives us a grand total of 277 total operating licenses in AU and medical. Today, the application is up for consideration. We have 32 conditional applications that are before the board, 17 conditional to annual conversion applications, 12 annual applications, and 15 annual renewal applications. And sort of to piggyback on Commissioner Del Cid Cosa's comments, we always give a patient update. As of July 15th of 2024, total patients are 75,414. Caregivers are a little under 5,000, and we have a little over 1,500 doctors enrolled in the program. And as part of my executive director's report, I'm now going to turn the floor over, with the chair's permission, to Chief Counsel Dave Tuason to talk about some of the additional ingestible forms and products that are available in our market.
So I just wanted to to give an update on the availability of additional edibles products in the marketplace. Now, on September 8th, 2023, last year, the Commission waived several regulations to allow the production and dispensing of additional edible forms. On a parallel path, we proposed our rules on edible forms, which was published in the New Jersey Register on October 7th, 2023. That 60-day comment period ended, and we're currently working on responses to those comments, as well as our notice of adoption. So both the rule proposal and our waiver authorized these following forms. They authorized dried form, topical formulations, oil formulations, syrups, single-serve beverages, which are 5 milligram limit, pills, capsules, oral suspensions, and then non-TCS, which are shelf-stable items such as chocolates, gummies, baked goods, butters, jams, and jellies, products that don't require time or temperature control. So those are all of the products that we authorized to waive, that the Commission authorized to waive. Next slide, please. So looking at the forms that are currently out in the marketplace after our waiver and our rule proposal, we currently have some chocolates in the market, caramels and caramel chews, lollipops, cookies, and brownies. And in conducting research in other states, we are aware that there are more product types, such as beverages, that are available. And we continue to encourage manufacturers to produce additional types to provide more options to consumers and patients that are regulatorily compliant. So that ends the update there on additional edible forms. I'll turn it back to Director Riggs.
Thank you, Chief Counsel. Now we are going to move into a sales and pricing update. Since this is our quarterly report, you're going to hear from me on sales and pricing and things like that. And then I'll turn the floor over to our Director of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, Wesley McWhite, to talk about some of the demographics and data points. The first slide you'll see is the last 4 quarters in medical and recreational sales. As you'll see, recreational sales continue to grow quarter over quarter. The sales just continue to grow, and our medical sales obviously continue to drop. But since our recreational sales are outpacing, the drop in medical sales, we're seeing a total increase in sales across the board if you combine them together. Next slide, please. This is the previous 12 months, so this is just broken down a little more for dollar sales over the months. This is just adult use sales only. So you'll see that there is some seasonal dip from December to January. A lot of folks are spending money in December, and then in January they're not spending as much money. So we do see seasonal dips, and that's why it is good to look at the year over year and quarter over quarter data to kind of get a sense of where the market is. Next slide. This is a slide that shows the price per gram of flower by month in the adult use market. You can see the trend. It continues to go down. Last July, it was at its high point at $13.06. And now in this month of June in 2024, we're at $11.80. The next slide shows the mix of by product and category for the last 12 months. What's being sold? Bud and flower remain to be the highest. It continues to hover around 41%, 40%, give or take. Vape carts are second at 29%, and edibles are at 14%. And the final slide is something important because grams sold is really a good metric. And this chart, shows that while the prices continue to drop, and that's affecting top line sales numbers, participation in the legal cannabis market by consumers is growing at a more robust rate than retail sales alone would suggest. So you see 94% increase in sales, but gram over gram when we look at the grams. And that big gap in between the yellow and the blue line shows that you're seeing more grams sold and the price is continuing to drop. And that is all I have on sales and pricing data. And I'm going to turn the floor over, with the chair's permission, to Director McWhite to talk about our quarterly data report.
It's afternoon, right? Good afternoon. Thank you, Director Riggs. Thank you, Chairwoman Wainu, for the opportunity to share once again our quarterly data report as we do every quarter. All the data in this report is as of July 12th, 2024. And as always, we want to thank the staff for their hard work in ensuring we move businesses from application submission all the way to recommendation for board approval, and to the board as well for their hard work in this process as well. Huge thank you to Director of Data Analytics, Lynn Terranova, and his team who puts all of our data together, as well as our Director of Communications, Tony Ann Blake, who ensures that we are communicating this data effectively and efficiently. And as always, the full data report will be available online soon after this meeting. So as always, we start with awardee application data. Between Q1 and Q2, we've seen an increase in the number of approved annuals, conversion to annuals, and approved conditionals across the board for multiple classes. And that includes cultivators, manufacturers, retailers. And last quarter, the board has approved its first annual distributor license and an additional distributor conditional awardee as well. An additional 7 social equity business awardees, an additional 39 diversely owned businesses were awarded, an increase from 337 to 376, as you can see here, and an increase from 79 social equity awardees to 86 social equity awardees between Q1 and Q2. And percentages for diversely owned businesses and for social equity businesses remain relatively the same at 17 and 16%. When you break down the race of individuals, social equity awardee individuals, 33% are Black or African American, 23% are white, 18 are listed as other, and 19% are Hispanic or Latino. We show this data chart to ensure that licensees and key populations are being approved at or around the same time or the same rate as they are applying. And so in this chart, we see that this data is consistent and within a pretty narrow margin. And if these margins start to widen, we would do some investigation to see where some of the stopgaps and hurdles are. Awards by social equity status. So approved social equity straight to annuals remain the same at 4 in that yes column. Excuse me, approved social equity conversion to annuals increased between Q1 and Q2, and increasing our total social equity awardees so far from 444 last quarterly report to 468. Between Q1 and Q2, an additional 18 awardees with prior marijuana convictions were awarded. For diversely owned businesses, awardees, between Q1 and Q2, there have been an additional 89 diversely owned businesses awarded, seeing an increase across the board in approved annuals, conversion to annuals, and approved conditionals. Among our impact zone businesses, we've seen an increase from 762 to 849. That is an increase of an additional 87 impact zone awardees across approved annuals, conversion to annuals, and again, approved conditionals. Vice Chair Delgado's favorite slides, the top 3 annual license awardees by county are Burlington, Atlantic, and Union, with Union knocking Camden out of the top 3 from Q1 to Q2. And conditional to annual conversions, our top 3 here are Atlantic, Essex, and Hudson County. So the meat of the matter, the quarterly data benchmarks. No surprise here, we are continuing to see us surpassing our statutory benchmarks of making sure that we are awarding at least 15% of our annual licenses to minority-owned businesses and 15% of our licenses to women or disabled-owned businesses. So those benchmarks, as you can see, are well over, we're outperforming those benchmarks by well over 30% in both categories, with an additional 147 minority-owned awardees and additional 26 women or disabled vet-owned businesses. In addition, over 1/3 of our license awardees, that's about 35%, are micro businesses. It's another statutory requirement benchmark set at 25%. So overall surpassing that micro business benchmark by 10%. Here you can see our diversely owned certification data. We continue to monitor certification data that we receive through the applicants and owners certification with Treasury. We've seen an increase in disabled veteran-owned businesses, with a couple more conversions there, and another annual, really all the way down to minority business enterprises and an additional diversely disabled veteran-owned business, and an additional minority-owned business, women-owned business, and diverse disabled veteran-owned business, and reminding business owners that you can certify for multiple certifications. So again, according to MJ Biz Daily's annual DEI report, their latest report, the national average of majority minority-owned cannabis businesses has seen a 4% decrease, and a majority women-owned cannabis business nationally has seen a 6% decrease, while New Jersey has seen an increase in its diversity and stabilizing for minority-owned businesses at 37% and 41% women-owned businesses. So while the state of diversity nationally is experiencing a decrease in both of these areas, we are starting to see stabilization and an increase in ours. Our benchmarks, as you can see, including expansions, because we want to make sure that we're providing all of the accurate data. When you include expansions, we continue to exceed that benchmark. That should be 15%. Of 40% of our licenses, including expansions, have been awarded to minority-owned businesses, and 49% of our licenses, including expansions, have been awarded to women or disabled veteran-owned businesses. So majority owners, race, and ethnicity for annual awardees. As the number of awardees continue to grow, which is a good thing, and potential dual identifications have increased. And so this is a more accurate way or methodology that we will be communicating going forward, communicating this data going forward. So just for an example, for Black or African American, there are 85 individuals who have self-identified or self-reported their race and ethnicity as Black or African American. But as you can see, there is someone who is also identified as Black or African American, American Indian, or Alaskan Native, or Black or African American, other, or not listed. And so it was important for us, Chair, and the public to make sure that we are representing these numbers accurately and representing these very real numbers with the way folks are self-reporting according to our licensing system. And all the way at the bottom, 59% or 59 of our awardees are Hispanic or Latino majority owned, which is now a percent of awardees. And last quarter, that percentage was just 6%. So between quarter one and quarter two, we've seen a significant increase in Hispanic or Latino majority ownership awardees. Operational businesses, which is always very important for us to report out. That's operational businesses licensed under the CREMA Act. So 13 of those are cultivators. That has increased. The number of manufacturers has increased. The number of retailers, operational retailers, have increased as well. New this quarter, 15 new impact zone businesses, 17 new women-owned businesses, 6 majority owners with previous marijuana convictions, and 25 new open diversely owned businesses. Out of those operational businesses, 32% are women business enterprises, 18 are minority business enterprises, 17% are minority and women business enterprises, and almost 3%, which is an increase from last quarter, with an additional diversity owned business opening from quarter one to quarter two. So new majority ownership this quarter is 5 Black or African American businesses, 17 women owned businesses, 5 Hispanic or Latino owned businesses, and 2 disabled veteran owned businesses. And so that is it for me. And I turn this back over to Executive Director or the Chair.
Okay. Thank you so much, all of you, for the wealth of information. I have a question actually for Chief Counsel Toizon with respect to the impact of the resolution that the board adopted in September, opening up the pathway for more edible products. Approximately how many businesses are actually taking advantage of these new opportunities to offer more products? Is it our staff seeing that a majority of our businesses are actually leaning into this space, or do we see fewer than expected businesses actually taking advantage of this opportunity?
If you don't mind, Madam Chair, I will take that question from Chief Counsel. I would say that it's not a majority of the businesses taking advantage of this opportunity. We would like to see more businesses take advantage of the opportunity of these waivers to make more products available to both patients and consumers.
Thank you, Director Riggs. I would emphasize that the a large driving factor, a large drive. One of our biggest drivers that pushed the board to actually take this action was desire from patients and consumers to see a wider variety of product, and also from the businesses that wanted to take advantage of this. So I would hope that those businesses that were pining for this opportunity are taking advantage of it now that it's been up and running for almost a year. Are there any other questions from the board for our staff?
No questions, Madam Chair, just a quick statement. That's okay.
Yes, Commissioner Del Coso.
Thank you. Just one request for Acting Director Riggs. On the pricing update that you just gave us, it just has adult use. Could you provide at the next board meeting what that pricing looks like for medical cannabis? And then on the update that was given by Director McWhite, thank you so much for that update. I just want to commend you and your team for all of the work that you guys are doing to promote more applications, especially for minority-owned businesses. I'm very happy with the number that it almost doubled since our last report for Latino numbers. Annual awards by Hispanic or Latino majority, which is great. And I do commend you and your team for being out there in the community and being advocates, and also including me in part of those conversations. So thank you. And I'm very happy to see that those numbers are increasing as we get more applications through this system. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Del Coso. Any other questions from the board? All right. Hearing none, we will move on. And before we move on, though, I forgot to note when we came back and resumed public session that there is a change on the agenda. So item number 12, the enforcement action for NOV 7724, that is being removed from consideration and will be presented for consideration at a future board meeting. That's the only agenda change being made for on the public facing agenda. So apologies for not noting that sooner. Wanted to make sure I got that in. All right, Mr. Said, we'll move on to the next agenda item.
The next item on the agenda are the committee reports.
Great. So today we have a committee report from the Audit Committee. I will actually be providing this committee report. Now that the Annual Appropriations Act has been enacted, wanted to share out the budget for the Cannabis Regulatory Commission. For fiscal year 2025, the agency's budget is at $18.28 million. It's broken down here into four general categories. As you see, the staffing and staff-related costs are the bulk of the expenditures for this year. We are currently operating with 70 some odd personnel. And we are still planning for continued growth, right? As the regulated industry continues to grow, so does the agency's need to make sure that we have the staff and the resources able to keep up with that growth. Next slide, please. And then the audit committee's, one of the audit committee's priorities, as I mentioned earlier, was to get caught up on all of our statutorily required annual reports. And so 2 of the 6 medical reports have already been adopted by the board. 2 are being considered today. And data for the adult use annual report is already being compiled. So I want to thank the Office of Data and Business Analytics for their work getting all of these numbers together. And so it looks like we are on track for getting all of our annual reports completed and before the board for before the full board for consideration and adoption by the end of this year. That's it for the audit committee's report. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, then we'll move on.
The next item on the agenda is the consideration of public notices and publications.
All right, so with this, I will turn it over to Chief Counsel Toizon.
Hello. Our clinical registrant rule proposal was published in the New Jersey Register on August 7th, 2023. Today, the board is deciding whether to approve to adopt that rule for filing for the Office of Administrative Law. So when we proposed it on August 7th, we had a 60-day public comment period, which ended on October 6th, 2023. So the proposed rules, they establish a process for clinical registrant applications, and that application process aligns closely with our personal use rules and require a similar application submission process and documentation. It allows, just a piece of clarification, allows like new ATC permit holders that clinical registrants are a subset of an ATC. So those ATCs, the clinical registrants that apply and obtain a clinical registrant permit would be able to engage in clinical research, clinical medical research. It must be associated with a regional academic medical center to conduct research, to cultivate, manufacture, and dispense medicinal cannabis products and cannabis products. And the next step, if the board approves this adoption, notice of adoption, it will be filed with the Office of Administrative Law, and then they will go ahead and move forward with publishing that adoption in the future, as well as if the board approves the notice of adoption, then the next step after that, after it's published, would be to adopt a notice of application acceptance, which would detail the application process, and that would be sometime in the future as well. I turn it over for the board vote.
Thank you, Chief Counsel Toizon. And I want to thank all of the commenters that provided feedback on this important permit type. And so I'm excited that with your feedback, we were able to incorporate some ideas that were brought forward by members of the public. Are there any questions from the board regarding the information Counsel Toizon shared? Hearing none. Is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to adopt the approval of notice of adoption with amendments and new rules for clinical registrant permits.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion on this motion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Nash.
I am really interested to learn what research comes out of the partnership between these clinical registrants and academic medical centers here in New Jersey, especially if it expands on more currently accepted medical uses of cannabis. Additionally, as an animal rights advocate, I am thrilled that we have included language in the proposed clinical registrant rules that prohibits animal testing in our non-clinical research. I am proud that New Jersey has banned this cruel and unnecessary practice in the cosmetic industry, and I'm hopeful we will do the same in the cannabis industry as it relates to research. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Any other discussion on this motion? All right. Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Staying.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item, as part of the public notices and publications, is the report on medicinal cannabis activities.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Director Riggs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have two reports. These are the reports that you had mentioned briefly in your chair's remarks for medicinal cannabis activities 2020 and 2021. These simply summarize the regulatory and operational activities that were related to medical cannabis during the years of 2020 through 2021. A big shout out to Director of Data and Business Analytics, Len Terranova, for helping to put together the data for these reports and all the data for this public meeting. These reports are required to go to the governor, and if the board approves them, they will, and they also are required to go to the legislature. So as soon as the board votes on them and they are approved, we will make sure that they end up with the legislature and with the governor. The reports there is no personally identifying information contained in the reports. It's all anonymous data, but it does give a sense of the activities that were performed during those years. And we are recommending that these reports be approved by the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board regarding the medicinal cannabis reports? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we accept the motion on the medical,
To approve the medical
to
reports?
approve them. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the medical reports? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of the delegation of authority.
Thank you. I'll turn it back over to you, Director Riggs, to provide a summary of these authorities to be delegated.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And there are two authorities that we are requesting as staff be delegated. It is a failure to pay required fees on a license application. Fees and invoices are provided by our Director of Licensing to applicants. Applicants are provided with various opportunities to pay those invoices. They're given multiple notices to pay those invoices, and some are just failing to pay. So we're requesting to be able to deny them after the process is followed and they're given that notice. And we are also requesting delegated authority to be more efficient with name changes. Many name changes come into our office and there's no fees associated with that. And we were requesting to make that process more efficient, that both of those authorities be delegated to staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? I do want to note for the public, and this will be stipulated in the resolution that is posted online, that should the board vote in the affirmative to delegate authority to staff to take action on name changes, that does not affect or any way impact the requirements and restrictions on how business names are used pursuant to our regulations. So I just want to make sure that the public knows that that will be reflected in the resolution that is posted online. Okay. If there are no questions and no other comments on this item, is there a motion on this item?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the resolution to delegate authority to act on a failure to pay requisite fees.
Second.
I'm sorry, the Commissioner Nash, could you restate your motion? My apologies. It was to approve the resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry. The name change, approve the resolution for the name changes.
I second.
So to be clear, your motion is to approve the resolution to delegate authority to act on a failure to pay requisite fees and on applications for name changes?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. All right, so Commissioner Nash moves to approve the resolution with respect to delegated authority for both failure to pay requisite fees and applications for name changes. Is there a second on this motion?
second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Thank you. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Nay.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of applications for ownership changes.
Director Riggs, I'll turn it over to you to describe the submitted applications for an ownership change.
Thank you, Chairwoman. We have today for the board's consideration, 3 ownership changes. Illicit Gardens NJ LLC is adding a new owner. Faisal LLC is changing their ownership structure, and Holistic Relief is changing their ownership structure. All of these changes were submitted and reviewed by the Office of Compliance and Investigation. Each of these entities has satisfied the regulatory requirements for an ownership change. All of the owners and individuals that are required to be vetted for these ownership changes were vetted, and that was done by the Office of Compliance and Investigation. And the office is satisfied that these folks are qualified to enter into the cannabis space. Therefore, we are recommending that these ownership changes be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board regarding these 3 ownership change applications? Hearing no questions from the board, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we move the resolution consideration of
Moved by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Del Cid Coso. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
abstain.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
Motion passes. The next item as part of the applications for permit or license changes is the location changes.
Thank you. Director Riggs, the floor is yours to describe those businesses that want to change location.
Thank you. We have 2 businesses that have submitted requests to change their location. Columbia Care, New Jersey is trying to change their location and moving up the street on the Black Horse Pike in Mays Landing. Acreage CCF is moving from Atlantic City to Collingswood. These were requested and submitted to the Office of Compliance and Investigation. These are medical permits. Both have submitted documentation of site control and municipal approvals. An on-site inspection of these new locations is required before the commencement of operations. That will happen if and when the board approves these location changes. We are recommending that these location changes be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion on this matter? With respect to Columbia Care, we're taking these in turn. So with respect to Columbia Care, New Jersey, is there a motion change?
One at a time.
Yes.
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we accept the resolution. Columbia Care. 4436 Black Horse Pike, Mays to
Thank you, Vice Chair Delgado. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Del Cid Coso. Is there any discussion on this motion with respect to Columbia Care, New Jersey? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
abstain.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, now we'll turn to Acreage CCF, New Jersey. Is there a motion as it relates to Acreage?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we accept the resolution consideration of application for a location change for Acreage CCF, New Jersey from 1301 Broadwalk, Atlantic City to 35 Crescent Boulevard, Collingswood, New Jersey.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion as it relates to Acreage CCF, New Jersey?
Madam Chair, it's not a question, but a statement, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner Del Cid Coso.
So it doesn't pertain specifically to specific to any application that we're seeing right now, but just a general statement when it comes to approving changes of location or reviewing these type of requests that we get. I would like to point out and would appreciate if licensees and awardees have discussions with their employees about these requests that they're making to the CRC. These are people's livelihoods that we're discussing here, all right? Folks would probably have to take a bus to their job, to their new location now, or the location of the new site might be an hour away now or 30 minutes. So I do find this very concerning sometimes. And when I review these, I look at the distance of the original location and the new location being proposed. So I just want to ask the awardees that they have these discussions with their staff and their employees beforehand.
Thank you, Commissioner Del Coso. Is there any further discussion on this motion as it relates to Acreage CCF New Jersey? Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Same.
Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Waynu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are the adult use cannabis business conditional license applications.
Director Riggs, the floor is yours to provide us a summary of the conditional license applications received.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Today before the board, we have 32 conditional licenses, 6 cultivators, 2 manufacturers, 4 wholesalers, 1 distributor, 11 retailers, and 8 delivery licenses. And Director McWhite, just pause briefly on all these slides so folks can see if their business is up there and before the board for approval. All these conditional licenses have followed the licensing process. They've been given a priority assignment. It's been confirmed that each application is assigned to appropriate priority review level. We look for diversely owned business status, taxes, residency if required, and then cures are sent out if those items aren't met. That priority is then verified where additional cures can be sent if needed. They've undergone completeness review. It's been confirmed by our Office of Licensing that all required documents were submitted and the application is deemed complete. And then they are scored and recommended for approval. So right now we have 32 licenses in the 32 conditional licenses that are before the board for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing no questions from the board, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the conditional licenses up for consideration.
Moved by Commissioner Barker. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the conditional license applications? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker.
Aye.
Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Waynu.
Yes.
The motion passes. Next item up for consideration are the adult use cannabis business conversion license applications.
Thank you. Director Riggs, floor is yours.
Thank you. Today we have 17 conditional annual conversion licenses. There's 5 cultivators, 3 manufacturers, and 9 retailers. We are going to place some slides up on the screen that includes all of the businesses that are recommended for approval. They followed the same process that I just mentioned for conditionals. They've been scored, but they've also followed the annual process. So they've also gone through a qualification review where the individual's financial sources and any other agreements like management services contracts are reviewed for regulatory compliance. Background checks are completed on all owners and persons of interest to make sure that they're deemed qualified to be in the cannabis space. And there's a quality control component done by our offices of licensing and our office of diversity, or our office of compliance and investigations and our legal office. And then we make our recommendation to the board. So 17 licenses are up that are from the conditional conversion phase, and we're recommending that they be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing no questions from the board, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the conversion applications up for consideration today.
Is there a second?
I second.
seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the adult use cannabis business annual license applications.
Yes, Director Riggs, floor is
Thank you.
yours to share an update on a summary of the annual license applications received, but I believe we are taking this in, yes, I'm sorry, I believe we're taking this all in one swoop.
We're taking it all in one swoop. So we have annual licenses up for renewal, 3 manufacturers, 1 wholesaler, 1 distributor, 5 retailers, 1 delivery. We're going to put them all up on the board. These licenses all follow the similar process that I outlined in my previous remarks for conditional licenses and conditional conversion licenses, and therefore we are recommending approval.
Okay, I believe there is one less, one of these applications actually is not under consideration for today.
That's correct. There's 11 licenses up for renewal, 1 retailer. It is 2893 Atlantic License Development LLC is not recommended for approval and is being sent back to our Office of Compliance and Investigation for further investigation.
Thank you.
Apologies for the error on the slides.
That is all right. We are all human. Okay, so this is a set of 11 annual license applications then that have been presented. Are there any questions from the board regarding the 11 license applications?
Yeah, can you just repeat the user ID again?
Yes, Atlantic License Development. It's not on the slides in my deck in front of me. It's one of the retailers that is up there, 2893.
I see it.
That's being removed from the list of recommendations, and we are not recommending that at this time for approval.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the resolution for consideration of annual license applications.
Moved by Commissioner Nash. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Del Cid Coso. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are the adult use cannabis business annual license renewal applications.
Thank you. And this is the one that we're taking in 2 turns. So Director Riggs, I will turn the floor over to you to describe our first set of annual license renewal applications.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first set's going to include 14 annual license renewals. And the reason we have these broken out is because expanded ATCs in their first year of operations are required to submit a new municipal support letter. So we have them listed. They've all submitted the required documentation under the regulations and statute. They've submitted the required documentation that we require for renewals, and we are recommending that these 14 be approved for renewal for their operations. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board regarding this set of 14 annual license renewal applications? Hearing none, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we accept the resolution.
Sorry, could you repeat that? I believe the microphone may have cut out.
Okay, fine. I'll repeat it.
Thank you.
Does everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So, Madam Chairwoman, I move that we approve the resolution for consideration of the 14 adult use annual renewal application.
Thank you, Vice Chair Delgado. I don't want to give our OIT staff a heart attack on sound issues. Is there a second on this motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Del Cid Coso. Is there any discussion on this motion as it pertains to the set of 14?
Just a brief discussion, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Barker.
I just want to ask to the industry and to the entities up for consideration and those that will be up for consideration, please, I can't stress this enough, adhere to our reporting requirements for the renewal process. You are to submit timely, detailed, complete information to our respective directors. And if you have any questions, the team is very helpful. They can be supportive in that. So I please stress that and ask you to adhere to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Barker. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Same.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the annual license renewal application for Brutes Roots LLC. Commissioner Del Cid Coso has recused herself from this renewal application from Brutes Roots due to an ongoing professional relationship. On account of her recusal, she will step out of the room while the board considers this particular application. Afterward, Commissioner Del Cid Coso will come back in and will take up the next order of business.
Thank you, Mr. Said. Director Riggs, the floor is yours to describe the annual license renewal for Brutes Roots.
We have Brutes Roots up, and Brutes Roots follow the same process as all the other renewals, but I do want to make a mention, and this does not technically pertain to Brutes Roots. It says it pertains to every single licensee that is going to renew their adult use license. Please ensure that all material changes are reported to the commission as soon as they happen. Do not wait until your renewal and think that the board is going to approve an ownership change. That is a second request. That is an additional request. Just because the board votes on a renewal or approves a renewal does not mean that they've approved any ownership change or any other material change to the business. But we are recommending that Brutes Roots is approved on its annual renewal. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs, for that clarification. I think it is, I would echo that and underscore the importance of making it very clear that this particular item up for consideration is just for the annual license renewal. And the board will consider each item that it has to act on in turn. Are there any questions from the board regarding the information provided? Hearing none, is there a motion on this matter as it pertains to Brutes Roots?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the renewal for Brutes Roots.
Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote as it pertains to the annual license renewal for Brutes Roots?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso is recused. Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are the cases, claims, and petitions.
So here we begin with our ATC identification cards. Director Riggs, I will turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Today before the board, we have 7 Alternative Treatment Center employees that are requesting that they be deemed rehabilitated by the board. There's a statutory requirement and a regulatory requirement that background checks be conducted, and there are certain disqualifying convictions that prevent these folks from working in the cannabis space, in the medical space. So we have reviewed these. These individuals have requested that they be shown to be rehabilitated. They've been given that opportunity to challenge the accuracy of the criminal history results, and they are now requesting that they be deemed rehabilitated by the clear and convincing evidence that they've provided to staff, and we are recommending that these individuals be reinstated and allowed to work in the medical cannabis space. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Is there any, are there any questions from the board regarding the information provided? Hearing none. Is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the request for rehabilitation.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any, so seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the request for rehabilitation?
Brief discussion, Madam Chair, very brief. Just want to thank the staff. Can't thank you enough. I think, reading some of the individual testimonies, and I won't disclose them, but it shakes you to the core. It really does. And the ability to give somebody a second chance, for somebody to pour out all of their feelings, all of their life story and their history and the things that they went through, and to really be so humble to be requesting a job, man. It's just, it breaks you. And to think in cannabis especially, we are reading real stories from people impacted by the war on drugs. And, they went through so much for decades, and now, they have this job opportunity, and they're looking to keep it. They're looking to stay on the right path. And so I think, since we started this, or since staff has brought this, since the chair has led it, I think we're close to 30 people. And they're telling us, hey, this is the difference between life and death. This is the difference between being able to provide for my family or being, considering recidivism and going back into the old ways. And so just really want to thank staff, want to thank my fellow commissioners, and thank the CRC for really putting this forward. I do think it is making real drastic improvements on people's lives in an exponential fashion. And so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Barker. Is there any further discussion on this motion to approve the request for rehabilitation? Hearing none, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the open public comment period.
All right, so as we open the floor for public comment, I want to remind everyone that members of the public can submit their comment to the commission during or after this meeting in writing via our website, nj.gov/cannabis/meetings. The deadline for submitting written comments for today's meeting is 5 o'clock tomorrow, Friday, July 19th. Written comments will be shared with the commission members and they will be made public. As I mentioned earlier, we are also accepting public comments virtually now. We will first hear from those individuals who are joining us in person and have registered to speak. We'll then open up the floor to members of the public joining us by phone. For those delivering comments virtually, again, I want to remind you of a few things to help us ensure that we can hear you. Use headphones and call us from a quiet place when phoning in to give your statement. Please silence all other nearby devices to avoid background noises, interruptions, and electronic feedback. And please speak clearly when giving your statement. When we do get to the telephonic statements, I want to ask the folks who are joining us in person to please silence your devices and make sure that you are keeping any communication to a whisper so that we can make sure that we are hearing our folks who are joining us virtually. Speakers, as always, speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. If you do not use, if you are not able to finish all of your comments in that 3-minute period, I do invite you to submit your comments in writing where there is no such limitation on length. Now, I must emphasize that while individuals are free to critique the commission and its decisions or the effects of the commission's decisions, personal attacks and threats against NJ-CRC personnel will not be tolerated. Anyone who uses their comment to make any such attacks or threaten commission staff or board members will be considered disruptive of the board meeting and will be removed from the board meeting. That said, Mr. Saeed will call out the names of our speakers. Again, we are starting with those individuals who are joining us in person. When it is your turn to speak, please come to the front, tap the button on the microphone until you see the green light. Please make sure that the green light is lit before you give your comments, and state your name very clearly for the record and for our stenographer who is transcribing the meeting. Mr. Saeed, please call on our first set of speakers.
Thank you, Chairwoman. As a reminder, public speakers during this afternoon's public comment period will be limited to 3 minutes. Please be respectful and concise during your comments. So the first name that we have on the list in person is Margarita Tsalyuk. All right, I don't see that. Next person is Jason Russell. I don't see that person. David Fetter. All right, next person is Lisa Hamlet. Okay, next is Joseph Simmons. Next is Gaetano Lardieri. Next is Linda Solana. Next is Damon Hanschel. Next on the list is Christopher Aponte. Next on the list is Manel Martino. Next is Haider Rizvi. Yeah. Next on the list is Anthony Campbell Jr. Next is Tahir Johnson. Next is Kristen Haas. Next person is Thomas Norcia.
I'm Thomas Norcia. I'm the owner operator of GrowWorks. I'm a small cannabis business in Sussex County. Is it on? It's on. All right. I'm licensed through the USDA since May of 2020. I have dispensaries looking to sell my products, but your inspectors are telling them that I need to be a metric. All my products are lab tested and compliant to the USDA Farm Bill. I do not sell psychoactive products. Right now, there's a psychoactive hemp ban bill on Murphy's desk waiting for a signature. This bill includes full spectrum CBD products. My products will no longer be compliant under that bill. Smoke shops will shut down and I'll have no website. This is my 5th grow season. I have plants in the ground. I plan on harvesting mid-September to mid-October. I plan on making full spectrum products with my harvest. I need to access metric to keep my business running. I was operating before the CRC was even thought of and before there was a recreational program. There are less than 40 businesses operating in the hemp program. We are licensed, did things the right way. We are not operating under a loophole like smoke shops and gas stations. Now we are the casualties of this hemp ban. We need access. In the Farm Bill, liquor stores will be getting licenses to sell beverages. Now, towns that opted out of cannabis businesses will be selling cannabis beverages. My town opted out, not because they're against cannabis, but because they were uneducated at the time. My town has 3 liquor stores. Now they sell beverages, and I can't sell a CBD full spectrum tincture. It doesn't make sense. I was operating in my town before there was opt-out date. If liquor stores get a license to sell beverages in a town that opted out, anyone operating in the hemp program since day one should get access to a license in the rec market. The state had 4 years to merge the hemp program and the rec market, and they chose not to recognize us. Now this is a forced issue between the USDA and the CRC. You guys need to sit down with the hemp program as soon as possible to figure this out, right away. Keep in mind, there's people in this program that have plants in the ground. They have to come out at one point. New Jersey basically just changed the definition of hemp. How does that just happen, overnight? There's stores all over that sell full spectrum CBD products, especially for pets. Vets all over the state want my full spectrum tincture for pets. PetSmart, Tractor Supply, Petco, nutrition shops, vitamin shops are just some of these places that sell full spectrum tinctures. Pretty much that's the end. Right now, I just think between USDA and CRC, we need better education. There's not enough education. Uneducated people are making decisions for people that are educated, and it doesn't seem to make sense. So I'm just hoping sooner than later you guys could speak with John Kerr from USDA and get us access to Metric. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Ronald Sykes.
Good afternoon. Hi. I'm Ronald Sykes. Can you hear me now? Okay, I'm Ronald Sykes. First, I want to say good afternoon, and you guys are doing a great job. I have to take my hat off to you. The name of my company is Veteran Dispensary. I spent time overseas in Iraq, and I just got information from the VA where we educating veterans to be able to get approved to have weed, medical weed license, and to go with my business as Veteran Dispensary. This is my son. Part of our goal is to get a food truck where we could bring economic growth to the low income in our community. With this benefit, through the grace of God, once we get up and running, I order a food truck where we want to educate young kids in our community to become food business owners and teach them. And for me, it's knowledge to get to know about this marijuana business and education. So with your support, hopefully we get our license. We could get this ball rolling to where we can educate people in our community, bring some economic growth to low income. And again, most important, educate our young youth or the young people, the good and the bad behind this marijuana, because it's new to me. But in closing, I want to thank you guys for your hard work. Hopefully I get my license so we could spread this out and get knowledge to the youth and bring business to our Black community. And this is my goal. Being a veteran, I did 2 years overseas. I was a first responder. I'm lucky. I came back alive. I got hit with a suicide bomber, so I made a promise. If God get me out of this, I'm giving back to the community. But I need your support to get my license where we could get this going. On that note, I want to thank you for everything and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Service.
The next person on the list is Oscar Carrillo.
Oscar Carrillo, Magic Garden Botanicals. First of all, I want to thank you guys for giving me an opportunity to have a cannabis business. I am a convicted felon. I check all the boxes, MBE, minority business owned, Hispanic. And thank you, because I did get my all annuals. I got my vertical. I'm a small vertical. And the issue that I'm having now is that aside from getting my annuals granted to me, there's no clarity in the process. Like, I can't hire employees. I don't know when I can hire them because I don't know when I can operate. And there's just no way. Apparently, there's nobody can give me an answer to that. I made a bunch of calls trying to find out, like, what's the process. I was told that it was like maybe after I passed my final, it was a 30-day wait. But then I was told that there's no such thing as a 30-day wait. And then when I asked my compliance officer, I was told that it's going to take the time it takes. And that's kind of hard to run a business when you're told timelines that it's going to take what the time it takes. I mean, when can I hire people? I passed my final. I want to put new products into the market. I have a sugar and a honey I want to put into the market. I'm a manufacturer. I put in for a waiver for my for my processing, because we use a unique extraction process that I needed a waiver for. That got put in June 11th. I don't know where it's at. That's kind of in limbo. So it's just kind of hard to really, for a minority business owned person, everybody wants to speak minority owned businesses and stuff like that. But we need the help. So where's the help at? I can't run a business like that. And I run a business, I'm a union contractor. I give back to the community. Most of my guys that work for me now, I got them into the union, they're all convicted felons. I am a true believer in a second chance because I've been given that second chance. But it's real hard to give other people second chances when I don't know when I can open my doors. And I'm like $4 million into my project. So it's like, things are getting real tight, real fast. So, I guess I'm just asking for help at this point. Where do I turn to at this point? Because if I passed all my finals, I've given all my information to get my waiver approved. What else? If there's something I need to do, please tell me. I'll do it. I've jumped through every hoop they've been giving me. But at this point, it seems like I don't even know how to run a business at this point. Because I can't, how am I hiring employees? You're gonna tell me I can operate, okay, but that means I don't even have a license number, so I can't even order packaging. Packaging from China takes 60 days. So even after you guys give me the green light, that means I still gotta wait another 60 days before I can put a product on the shelf. That means that's 2 more months of rent. But thank you.
The next person on the list is Carlos Almanzar.
Carlos Almanzar. I want to start by saying congratulations, guys. I know you guys been doing a lot of work. I've been putting attention to all the work that you guys been doing. I am coming in front of you guys because, I see all the minority, I see all my friends that are getting the licenses and stuff and all businesses, but I see Ocean County, the county that I'm from, who's getting the businesses, who's getting the licenses, who's getting approved. I still haven't seen one of my own. The building that I would love to send my application that I submitted to the town to you guys, so you guys can compare every application that got approved to my application and tell me if mine is the worst. Because I still haven't seen an application where a university inside of it to educate our community. None of them are helping the VA. None of them are helping the youth. None of them are helping the senior citizen of my community. We need to do a background of who we are approving on the corporate level and on the financial level, because a lot of the people, African and Spanish, they're not coming up because they don't feel comfortable. And it's not because of you guys. It's the towns. I keep begging, now I'm going to submit an application to you guys directly. Hopefully I could get approved and then I could go shopping for a town, because I'm tired of waiting, and really my capital is just going down. I had to sue a town. I've been going through, I don't want to say the word, and nothing is getting done. I don't know who to call. So I'm going to submit an application directly so then I could go shopping for a town, because this is the only way I'm going to get into the cannabis business if I want to, because I've been trying for a year and 8 months right now. And I wasted all my money. My construction company went down, everything, because I was trying to concentrate in this. So I'm just begging, look into the township that you guys are approving, and look who you guys are approving. I know it's hard, but we got to open a special department to look into that, because it's not fair. I don't want to play that racist card. That's not me. I came to this country to work hard and to get what I deserve. And most importantly, the legacy that I'm living in this country. I'm not taking this money for my family. I'm putting this money into my community. So that's why it hurt me so much of what's going on in my hometown.
Next person on the list is Michael Reed. No,
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Appreciate, thank you for the clarity.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us. My name is Dominique Landry. Speaking on behalf of Michael E. Reed. We represent Reservoir Partners. We're a nonprofit that helps small, diversely owned businesses in the cannabis space here in New Jersey. I want to thank you guys at CRC for having such open doors to have comments. So one of our clients was the first African-American veteran-owned dispensary in Atlantic City. They also served the first legally baked good back in April from another African-American owned company. So as you can see, the program is working that you guys have put into place at the CRC. Some of the things that we've noticed in the legislation that kind of prohibits or conflicts with the small business owner happens to be in the way that they can market and the way that they can get to the consumer. It's very tough, as you've heard from some of the people here. When they start, the capital may not be as long or the expertise may not be there, but what we try to do is try to carve out market share. So when the CRC, NJ-CRC 1730-172, the general advertising requirements and prohibitions, I would love to put on the table the potential to discuss how we can tweak those a little bit so smaller businesses, diversely owned businesses could have a more equitable chance to gain market share in their communities. Some of the people that we represent in Atlantic County, as we saw earlier, Atlantic County is one of the most densely populated when it comes to open businesses, especially Atlantic City. So it's very tough to get the messaging out and get those consumers that can keep the business going. A lot of people put a lot of money, a lot of time into their businesses, and as you've heard, some life savings. So from us, no question, just more so want to propose the ability to converse about maybe tweaking NJ-CRC 1730-172, and then also the ability for public events. We had a potential public event in July that basically was approved by Atlantic City, approved by the people down there, but ran into some conflicts with legislation with the CRC, which had to postpone that event. Again, it could have been a great way to build market share, create some sustainability in the market that's highly competitive in Atlantic City, but also across the state. Everybody's really eager to get in. So you guys have done a great job. We think that people on the ground can assist with tweaking some of the legislation to help smaller businesses kind of carve their niche. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Xavion Jackson.
Good afternoon. Xavier Jackson, Taste of Earth LLC. I am the founder of Taste of Earth LLC. We are a minority disabled veteran micro dispensary, conditional licensee awardee, awaiting our conversion. We're also in an impact zone. It's been a crazy ride from the start. Being that we are not on this agenda, I can't seem to understand why not. In the beginning of May of 2024, we received our email from the CRC stating for us to go schedule our fingerprints. That was a great feeling. Finally, we felt we were getting somewhere. A month goes by, we didn't hear anything. I reached back out to the CRC in the beginning of June, asking for updates. You guys said our application still had to go through municipal, zoning, and legal review. I wasn't sure what that meant by that. I emailed back and stated that we were assigned to schedule our fingerprints in May and asked the next step. Then I received an email from our investigator within the next hour. Okay, we are getting somewhere. We completed our phone interviews in 2 days. Great news. We sat back and waited again before we reached back out. All of this while hoping we make the summer agenda since we know you guys are taking off in August. We then reached back out. I received the same message from before our investigator was assigned. At this point, we are confused. After talking to fellow industry members, they said we are on the right track. But from your guys' emails, it just doesn't give much hope. By not having a meeting in August, this means we now have to wait till September. That's 2 months of rent on a fully complete building that is ready to operate. We even received our CO this past Tuesday. 3 months of rent till we can possibly open. That's $15,000 we have to put out because we are, lacking on additional meeting in August. I'm not working at the moment, living off a fixed income for a year because, there's literally not enough time in a day. And, I'm running this whole thing. I don't seem to understand why a very important department of the state needs to take off a month, and not have a meeting that happens every month. I appreciate all the hard work you guys have done, but this is very unfortunate for a lot of us in this industry waiting on a license. Hopefully you guys can make a special meeting for August. I can almost beg you guys right now. Our municipality has been very helpful and very eager for us to start bringing them the tax revenue and benefits of us opening. Thank you for your time.
The next person on the list is Gabriella Wilday.
Hello, Gabriella Wilday. I'm the CEO of Molly Ann Farms, a retailer operating in Haledon, New Jersey. I'm here today to speak about expiration dates as defined in a legislative statute. Expiration dates have a ripple effect. They have a profound impact on market supply and job creation. First, I'd like to talk about the expiration dates based on harvest versus cultivation date. Many independent suppliers were recently notified over the last 2 weeks that expiration dates were incorrectly calculated and that cultivation date means harvest date. Section 1730.11.8 states, the expiration date shall be determined from the date usable cannabis is cultivated. Keywords are usable and cultivated. It goes on to say, for usable cannabis, the expiration date shall not be later than 6 months from the manufacture or cultivation date. Again, usable and cultivated. Both usable and cultivated are defined in sections 1.2. Usable cannabis as the dried flower and leaves of the mature cannabis plant, and cultivate as propagation, germination, planting, growing, harvesting, drying, curing, and processing of cannabis. Based on the language in sections 11.8 and 1.2, statute indicates an initial expiration date of 6 months from the date on which usable cannabis is fully dry, not on the harvest date when it's wet and considered unusable. Second, these expiration dates can be extended an additional 6 to 12 months according to NJ-CRC section 1730.11.8c, which states, only in the absence of civility testing, information pursuant to 1730.19.5, the max expiration date shall be no later than 6 months. But it goes on to state, stability testing provides data for extending expiration dates beyond the additional 6. It specifically talks to stability testing. A, store the retention sample from each batch or lot. At 6 and 12 months after release of that batch, the sample is sent to a testing lab. The lab tests the retention sample for potency, purity, and to support or debunk the listed expiration date. And if the stability test debunks the listed expiration date of the batch or lot, the cannabis business can amend its SOPs and choose an expiration date. So in summary, the initial expiration date should be based on the cultivation date as it's defined in the statute as dried flower. And 2, stability testing of retention samples should be conducted at 6 and 12 months after the batch release and can be debunked. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I appreciate it.
The next person on the list is Caitlin Orantes. Next person is Carlos Paul. Next person is Mike Burry. Next person is Samuel Reichbart.
Hi, my name is Samuel Reichbart. With all due respect, what do you people do around here? This entire commission needs to prioritize better and prove to the public that they truly care. No one here seems to care about anything related to their job they're here to do, not about patients or the medical side. Must just be because adult use makes up for the drop in revenue, as we saw from the charts earlier. You don't care about the safety of consumers, or else you would fix the various issues and regulations that have been brought to your attention that could be harmful to consumers. How long have we been asking you about the 100-pound test batch size? How long have I been trying to work with you guys to fix RSO products? Products that could kill people in this state because of your failures and ignorance. And now we are being willfully negligent in denying any opportunity to work with you to amend those issues. I hope no one has died because of your failures. You don't care about patients, or else you would work on real changes to the program that could actually help people, or communicating with us so you can work on the changes that would most help us. I do want to acknowledge that you brought up those roundtables, but we asked you for those months and months ago. You promised us more involvement months ago, and you promised involvement directly with the patients. Stakeholders mean businesses to you people. They don't mean the patients. So yeah, you're gonna get a bunch of people up here like you did last month that aren't patients to try and tell you what you should change instead of asking us. It does not go over our heads that you keep ignoring us, even while trying to show the public that you care. Show us that you care. You're so blinded by your care for money that everything else falls to the wayside. You don't even realize that every product that I can't buy legally is money that you're losing. That's why you're missing revenue. It's not because patients aren't buying. It's because you guys haven't licensed the cultivators, the businesses that make us want to shop legally. It's because you haven't approved products that I have been able to buy for years now. Why would we shop legally? There's, in most cases, not a legal option for me to give my money if I wanted to give my money to one of these piss poor options that passes for medical cannabis in this state. With all due respect, prove that you're not another worthless government agency. Prove that you care. Now is the time to care for people. Now is the time to get your priorities straight and work towards changes that the sick people need and that this entire industry needs.
Madam Chair, that's the list of speakers for in person. Do you want me to switch over to the phone?
Before we do
Or
that, if
go-
you don't mind going through the list of in-person speakers one more time in case anybody had stepped out at the time that their name was initially called.
Yep. Since it's a long list, I'm going to call three at a time. Margarita Salyuk, Jason Russell, and David Fetter. Lisa Hamlet, Joseph Simmons, Gaetano Lardieri, Linda Solana, Damon Hanschel, Christopher Aponte, Manel Martino, Hader Rizvi, Anthony Campbell Jr., Tahir Johnson, Kristen Haas, Caitlin Orantes, Carlos Paul, and Mike Burry. Yeah. So that's it for the in-person.
Thank you. Now we can turn
Yes.
to anybody who is joining us by phone.
Yes. So please bear with us during our technology experiments. So the first person I'm going to call on for phone comments is Andrea Rabel. All right, so I see you, Andrea Rabel. I'm just going to allow you to talk. Please listen for the prompt that you're going to hear on your phone, and please mute everything else in your vicinity. Andrea, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Just one thing,
So-
because I'm not sure if you have access to the clock, but I'll just give a warning at 1 minute if that's okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Sure. All right.
I'm
Floor
guessing
is
we'll
yours.
just start. Okay. Hi, my name is Andrea Rabel. I'd like to start by saying thank you for allowing some form of remote testimony. As a patient, it can be not only difficult, but detrimental at points to physically attend meetings. It's a long overdue step, but a much appreciated one. I'll admit I was skeptical I would even see this change. Since the creation of adult use program, patients have fallen down the priority list and heard a lot of empty assurances. I had a meeting with CRC staff months ago regarding various concerns for patients. We were assured an interest in collaboration, but for months have had nothing to show for it beyond delays and silence, until today. Hopefully you do move forward with the stakeholder roundtables on medical issues because patients need your help, especially being faced with losing full spectrum CBD now. I started speaking publicly on the unsafe 100-pound testing batch size in January. In March, Commissioner Barker made a motion about the batch size, and some of you voted no, specifically because the director publicly assured you would have information soon. When Commissioner Nast even asked to clarify what soon meant, it was implied prior to the next meeting. I understand the delay in the overall testing guidance, as the CRC should hire scientific experts before proceeding, but the batch size was intended to be a temporary measure and is no longer in the best interest of the people or even some of your license holders. 2 years ago, you temporarily changed the limit from a reasonable 10 pounds to 100 pounds, the largest in the country by far. You've had time to review internally. You have the ethical responsibility to lower it and the ability to do so with a single motion and vote. You also have the ability to require that COAs are posted online and solvents are labeled on packages, just as easily with a motion and vote. This public transparency does not impact your ability to regulate, so it might not seem worth your time as a commission, but you have a responsibility to the public. And for patients, these changes are crucial to finding safe and effective medicine for their individual needs. Please respect the medicine you regulate. I withheld my comments from the last meeting in the hopes you would actually focus on the invited experts because they echo the voices of the patients.
1 minute.
Thank you. We need education. We need disability access. We need scientific and medical advisors on staff. We need doctor discretion over qualifying conditions. We currently support 17 conditions with the medical program, and that's like saying the pharmacy or hospital only serves patients with 17 conditions. Asking which one should we add next to anyone who deals with this from a patient or caretaker perspective is an absurd question. If you as a commission are only able to add conditions individually, then it is your duty to fight to change that legislation for the good of the state you are appointed to regulate. Patients are asking for follow-through on old promises and basic changes. Solvents labeled on packaging, requiring COAs to be posted online, safe testing limits. We are not being antagonistic. We are asking you to protect us and our families. We see that you've been making steps. Please, please keep fighting for patient needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. The next person on the phone list is Daniel. Just give me 1 second to find you. I don't see Daniel on the phone list. So I'm going to move to the next person. James Del Guercio. I see you, so I'm going to allow you to talk. Please listen for the prompt on your phone.
Hey, sorry about that.
No worries. You have three. The floor is yours. I'm just going to give a reminder at 1 minute, okay?
No problem. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for allowing remote testimony. It is a step in the right direction, though I hope we can consistently include video testimonies in the future for more comprehensive discussions. I'm not a patient myself, but my family relies heavily on medical cannabis. Today, I'm here to voice some critical concerns and propose much needed changes to the current medical cannabis program. First and foremost, we need to add scientists and doctors to the CRC. The expertise of medical professionals is essential to ensure that medical cannabis is treated as the medicine it is. Right now, it feels like the needs of the patients have been sidelined in favor of profit. This industry was originally built on the medical needs of patients. However, as soon as it became clear how much money could be made, the focus shifted to recreational use. Greed has taken over, and the patient-centric approach that started this industry has been lost. We must empower doctors to decide which conditions qualify for medical cannabis. The current restrictions are too rigid and leave many suffering patients without access to potential relief. Additionally, transparency in what we're purchasing from dispensaries is crucial. We need clear labeling of solvents used in production of cannabis products. Right now, buying from a dispensary is like going to a pharmacy for Xanax and being given Adderall. It's unacceptable. Another issue is hospital access. The J. Koenig law, which allows patients to use their medicine as hospitals, has already been passed, but it's not being enforced. This oversight compromises patient care and must be addressed immediately. Moreover, the recent intoxicating hemp law is yet another example of greed overtaking patients' needs. This law is removing access to life-saving CBD products for many individuals who rely on them for their health and well-being. We must prioritize patient need because this entire industry exists due to their demand for alternative treatments. Their well-being should be at the forefront of every decision you guys make. Lastly, since home cultivation is not an option, it's the state's responsibility to ensure that the medical cannabis industry is safe and reliable for patients. Every effort must be made to maintain high standards of safety and quality.
1 minute.
Thank you for your time and consideration. We must act now to fix these issues and truly serve the needs of the patients who depend on this program. That's all.
Thank you. The next person on the list, that's actually the last person on the list.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who spoke, both in person and telephonically. I'm glad we were able to get all of the technological machinations working. So thank you to our staff for making that happen. So yes, thank you to everybody for sharing their thoughts and their experiences. We do take your public comments seriously, and we take note of issues that are being raised to the commission so that we can take those back internally and work out problems, identify solutions, and act on them appropriately. This concludes the business that we have before us today. So with that, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Del Coso. Is there any discussion on this motion to adjourn? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? All right, motion passes. The time is, I don't know what time it is. 2:30, thank you. All right. The time is 2:30 p.m. and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the day.